Ajmer.
Celebrating Asia-Pacific's success story and offering impetus to the world's fastest-growing economy, India, Stimulus Research Services conducted the World Business Conclave 2016 in Hong Kong. The aim of the conclave was to recognize the importance of SMEs to the Indian economy and bridging the gap between small, medium and large-scale businesses.
We're trying to bring association between small, medium and large enterprise. That is the main agenda behind these conclaves.
It brought together brilliant minds of Asia and Asia-Pacific regions from diverse business domains to evolve unique and innovative ideas that have the potential to soar the spirit of Asia-Pacific success story. The most powerful world leaders from almost all genres of business, policy making, sports, entertainment and fashion were part of the conclave.
The conglomerates together which would come up with the different aspects which our country is facing, like the smart cities. The concept of smart cities probably can be different in India and it can be different towards Hong Kong or towards other countries. The similar manner, our Prime Minister Mr. Narendra Modi initiative, so we have highlighted Make in India as one of the initiative, which is really a proud initiative to be taken. And then we can't leave the technology behind, so we have also highlighted the education sector in our third panel.
One such thought-provoking panel discussion was on Smart City and Smart Solutions, moderated by CNBC-TV 18's Mridu Bhandari.
So to tell us all about smart cities, I'm joined by a stellar panel here today, and I'd like to welcome each one of them on stage, starting with Mr. Richard Lee, Director, International Business Development at Baidu, Mr. Mahesh Murthy, founder of Finstorm, co-founder Seed Fund and a digital media evangelist, Mr. NSN Murthy, Executive Director and leader of Smart Cities at PwC India, Ms. Karuna Gopal, President, Foundation of Futuristic Cities, who's also the advisor to Government of India on the Smart Cities mission, Mr. Yogesh Kochar, ex-Director Strategic Engagements at Microsoft India and now CEO and founder of Life, and Mr. Vikas Mehta, Group CMO and President, Marketing Services at the Mullen Low Lintus Group. Mr. Sanjay Kaul, Managing Director, Service Provider Business, Cisco India and SAARC region will also be joining us on the panel, and be joined by Mr. Bhaskar Pramanik, Chairman Microsoft India over a video call. Let's have a huge round of applause for all our panelists. So maybe if I could begin with Mr. Pramanik, we thought let's begin with your thought on this whole agenda that the government has of creating or developing 100 smart cities by 2020. A bit of an ambitious target, would you think so?
Yes, I think it's ambitious, but I do like the way the government of India has gone about the process of selecting the cities. I guess everyone is aware that 27 cities have been selected in the first round. What is interesting is that this is really very participatory, where the city and municipality and state government actually submitted their proposal. So it was not something which was passed down upon the various cities. I think there was a common set of requirements which the government had laid out, and to one of the cities or the nominations to address those.
Ms. Gopal, you're an advisor to the government as well on the Smart Cities mission. Let's talk a little bit about the budget allocation that has happened to smart cities. Is that enough?
The budget that is allocated, prima facie, may not really look like a big amount, but this amount is something like the seed capital for a startup. So you put in the first bit of money and hope that it inspires private investment and also entrepreneurs who would like to really capitalize on the opportunity.
Okay. Mr. Kaul, Cisco is deeply engaged with the government in giving shape to this whole dream of smart cities that we have. So give us a sense of how much has really happened in the last 1 year on ground, and what's the roadmap ahead for the next 4 years?
I mean, as a company, as Cisco, I think we've created a separate division, what we call Country Digitization Acceleration, and that is to really go now from talking to executing. And yes, there's a dream to do 100 smart cities, but I can tell you there's a lot of action happening, at least in 5 of them. We're on the ground executing, laying out needed technologies to make it happen. And I believe, first phase is always tough because it's to lay down the foundation and get started. And we're very hopeful in next year or so you will see a lot of acceleration. And honestly, we're very, very optimistic. It is the best thing that has happened to the nation, and among other initiatives that our beloved Prime Minister is driving.
Richard Lee, how important a market is India going to be for you with respect to the smart cities context, and can we expect some sort of investments on that front as well?
As an internet company, Baidu, we always take ourselves as a technology company. Technology is changing a lot of things. I think for us, this means greater opportunities in India for us. So
Right.
we will invest more in India. We have been investing there for quite some years.
Any numbers that you can share right now?
I cannot commit any figures, but it's certainly this is a long-term investment from Baidu
All right.
to keep investing in India, especially this smart cities program will create a lot of opportunities for us, the whole country.
Right.
Yeah.
Mr. Murthy, coming to the macro picture a little bit, with the kind of size and the kind of diversity that we have in India, what are the kinds of models that smart cities should be looking at? Because one size is really not going to fit all, is it?
There's an American model, which is more of an automation based on the existing infrastructure. There's a European model, which actually looks at more of a sustainability kind of environment. And there's a East Asian and the Chinese model, which looks at compact development and large infrastructure. India has actually adopted somewhere in between. What they've done is they've actually broken up into 2 parts. One is what we call as the lighthouse area, which needs to be developed around 24 smart city essential elements. And the other is programs which impact every single citizen in that city. So that's called the PAN city. Now, this gives flexibility to all the 100 smart cities or the competing cities, the 109 competing cities, to design as they like, as per their city's values, culture, heritage, and their aspirational value in terms of what they want to become over a period of time.
Right. And Mr. Mahesh Murthy, you've often said that you're sector agnostic when it comes to investing. So as far as investments in the smart city mission are concerned, do you see startups coming up with a lot of original ideas in India today for the smart cities mission, or is it still largely a copy-paste from the rest of the world?
If you look at the trends around us in the cities, population is rising at an immense growth rate, faster than infrastructure can keep up with. Pollution is rising, noise is rising, traffic jams are rising, and so on and so forth. So, to many of us, it seems a losing battle to even try to make. First, you have to save the city, let alone build it a smart city, right? What really makes sense, and I'll tell you, out of my last 8 investments, 6 are in Goa. All right, because a huge bunch of entrepreneurs have decided they want to go and live in a place which has, great bandwidth, good quality of life, and it's much easier to find great talent in Goa, believe me, than I just find it in Bangalore or in Bombay or anywhere else. So I believe if you follow that adage, really what you don't need is smart cities as much as you need smart communities, right? And maybe even smart villages. Left to themselves, smart people who do startups don't necessarily They don't crave to go live in Bangalore. They don't crave to go live in a 3-hour traffic jam in Gurgaon or in Bombay. They don't. They want to be somewhere which is clean, nice, beautiful, where they can bring up their kids, have great bandwidth and work well. Let's build a big city with 1 million people and build factories. It's the opposite. Rather than one big central city, rather than 100 smart cities, we probably need 10,000 smart villages or smart towns or smart communities, right? Fast roads, small airports, not mega airports, right? So if the original story in real estate was location, 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 the new story is dislocation, relocation and geolocation.
Right. So quality of life is something that you spoke about, and that ties in very well with something that Mr. Kochar, you're working on, which is the happiness quotient. You're developing a model around that. How does that tie in with the whole smart cities mission?
You can create a smart city with resources, but we don't look at the sources. The source of a smart city is the population that resides there. The challenge is that in the stress-filled environment where we have people coexist one with the other, there's only more and more stress that's sort of building up. So I think what's needed inside of a smart city is happiness, first and foremost. That has to be the source. And on top of that founding layer, that foundation layer, if you were to then go ahead and create a smart city, I reckon you'd still be able to turn that elephant around. Otherwise, it's like a dark room with about one black man looking for a dark cat that doesn't even exist in my perception today, because 60,000 crore rupees that was allocated initially to smart cities in India against about 100 odd smart cities, the equivalent of about 600 crores to a smart city, which is the cost that it would take for you to build a mall, or a shopping mall or a cinema hall. So I'm saying, how do we go ahead and, how do we go ahead and create? So, but nevertheless, it's a great initiative.
Let me just get in Vikas Mehta first at this point and get his opening comments. The Smart Cities mission is also going to be largely dependent on digital literacy. How challenging is that going to be given our current conditions in India and given the size and the diverse population that we have?
See, I think that's the great aspect which obviously gets forgotten as something we'll worry about 5 years from now. But I think the big challenge in India is, forget about digital literacy, we have literacy issues. And the whole aspect, and we do brag about the 250 million smartphones in the country, but what we need is slightly smarter users, and there is very little initiatives that are happening possibly in that direction. So I think while smart cities is a great trigger to probably reduce the pressure that our cities are coming under, I think just converting cities into smart for the sake of smartness is not necessarily going to achieve too much for us. What we've got to look at is we have a large population and there's a lot of youngsters getting into the workforce by the day in our country. How are we going to provide them two important things, which is sources of livelihood and quality of life? And I think that's probably a larger purpose around which the whole smart city initiative could literally be, as Mahesh was saying, we need to probably think of it in a very hyper-local fashion. Let's get into the pockets of what's the need for that locality gonna be when it comes to improving quality of life or increasing sources of livelihood, and then think about how can a smart city initiative or how technology can help make that happen.
At a time when our capital city, for instance, this year had the worst smog that it ever did ever since its existence. It's a time where smart cities should also be focusing a lot on sustainability. So, Mr. Pramanik, how is the Internet of Things really going to drive sustainability for Indian smart cities, and how is it going to be different from other parts of the world?
Within that, the Internet of Things is going to play a very important role, because the base infrastructure with sensors, with intelligent devices, is going to become, standard, where every human being will most probably have a couple of internet addresses, cars, transportation, energy, everything, healthcare, everything is going to require some form of sensor. And therefore, the whole Internet of Things is going to play a very, very critical and important role. I just want to close with one other point, which is about what you had referred to, and Mahesh Murthy talked about ISVs. It's been incredible to see over the last 6 months the number of ISVs who have come up with specific solutions around healthcare, around energy management, transportation. India's innovation and entrepreneurial activity is at its peak at the present moment. Microsoft, we work tied up with ISB Hyderabad, Ashoka University, to set up an accelerator for smart cities.
Mr. N.S.N. Murthy, what are the other areas that artificial intelligence can really transform, which has been done successfully, maybe in this part of the world, around China, around Hong Kong, which we could perhaps learn from and implement in India?
Okay, great question, actually, because this is something which India is now picking up real fast and in fact faster than others. So there are a couple of areas that India has in the past picked up what you call as the artificial intelligence phase 1. So if I clearly remember, and I think everyone has gone through this demonetization subject, but about 6 years back, Ministry of Finance set up something called Financial Intelligence Unit, FIU, which actually any transaction you do on your credit card or a bank which is greater than 50,000 rupees, it monitors it. It does the data warehousing, it collects the information, and you see the ads in the newspaper saying that from the income tax saying that I know what you are selling and what you're buying and all those things. So that's what, but if I look at the back end, the AI piece, which is at the basic level, was indicated at the back end was how the process automation and the process efficiencies and those components were involved. Now, today, AI is being used for the citizen services purpose. The second part of it is where the interface is happening. So I know, Bhaskar would be actually very interested to talk about it. I'll steal his thunder. Microsoft is trying to do something for Pune Smart City, where we are also the consultants with them. So where they are trying to put what is called the super bots to help the citizens in their local language or native language to talk to the system and get those services provisioned, because it's not possible to put so many different native language operators in front of the citizens. It's the system which now talks to them and get that information out. So that's something which is happening in India.
Okay, so we're running out of time, and as we wrap up, I'm going to ask each one of you for that one factor that you think India needs to get right in order to make its smart cities mission a success. Not more than 10 seconds each, starting with Mahesh Murthy.
I think we should think less of smart cities and build more of smart villages and smart communities with extraordinary high bandwidth, extremely clean environments, good roads, and making them great places to live, rather than try to patch the following edifice of our cities.
In this entire 100 Smart Cities mission, there's one piece which is going very well till now and should continue, is the timelines. Government has not missed for the first time a date, even an hour change in submission of the program, submission in proposals, releasing of the money, appointment of CEOs. The timelines are perfect. Timelines are actually being met for the first time in the history of this. This has to be continued. That's all. Everything will be in the place if we have that discipline in terms of the time management.
I think smart cities will create opportunities not only for the rich people and the middle class people, but also the common people. Internet is really a kind of things which brings benefits to all kinds of people. So I hope the smart cities will create opportunities for the lower level people, especially the everyday, the common people.
I think the one thing that Government of India has to do, and do it like now, is look at extreme collaborative protocols. See, normally everybody knows that collaboration is important, but I think a time has come that we have to take collaboration to the next level.
You know, you need 3 A's to my mind, and I was just sitting down and sort of thinking, you need application, you need affordability, and you need accessibility. So access, application, and affordability. As long as you could go ahead and provide every citizen of the country these 3 things, we are home, because the source, the cause is the man or the woman, and the effect is the smart city. Right. So you can only create a halo around the very basic, the lowest common denominator, as you said. So I think that's my take,
if the idea is to remove or at least lower the rural-urban divide that exists in our country, if we could use smart cities to make our concept of growth a little more inclusive, I think that would make a big difference to solving the urban problem any which ways India has. And my hope for the smart cities is, and I always honestly see these, the intention to turn 100 cities into smart cities as 100 pilots. And I sincerely hope that one of them would end up being sort of the best practice that the world would quote on behalf of India, knowing fully well that in some cases our definition of smart cities is quite basic.
I think this is the best opportunity we can get. I mean, I'm talking specifically for India.
Yes.
You know, you have the government vision, you have the user behavior, you have everything is falling in place. I think what we need is public and private coming together in a collaborative way and executing. I think we've been talking too much. Now it's time to go make it happen.
Right. Mr. Pramanik, your final word on what India needs to get right to make its Smart Cities mission a success.
That while technology is key, what is critical is going to be local ingenuity, especially with the local ISVs. That is what is going to make the smart cities unique and different.
Thank you so much. Thank you very much, panelists. Let's have a huge round of applause for the wonderful panel here today.
Focus, ideate, innovate, enable.